Before we get into the video, please make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell notification so that you never miss another video. Thank you. A few years ago, I started a new job at a recruitment firm. The company was fairly small scale, and I was hired into the most junior role as an administrative assistant position. I'd just finished uni and wasn't sure what path I wanted to take next, so I was happy to be working and earning money whilst I decided on what I wanted to do. It was a temporary position, 6 months maximum, but I didn't even last that long. I barely made it out alive. My first day was overwhelming, as first days always are. I was introduced to the team of 8, set up on payroll and talked through HR things, health and safety procedures, and an overview of the role. We all went for lunch together on company expenses, so that I could have a chance to get to know the team a little better. It seemed like a really nice touch. That afternoon, I spent a few hours with the manager, going through the job itself and what I needed to do. The following few days, I was sat on a desk by the manager, doing my role but with their guidance here and there. Finally, on Friday afternoon, I was told I could get on with things on my own the following week. But of course, he said, I could always pop over if I needed any help. To be honest, the role was so simple I could probably do it in my sleep. I was just there to take care of all the boring and time-consuming paperwork that no one else wanted to do. And I was doing it willfully on minimum wage. But only for 6 months, I told myself. 6 months until I figure out my next steps. The following few weeks were uneventful. I settled into the new role and the work, listening to music as I did so to liven up the absolute dullness of it all. One afternoon at around 3 p.m, I decided to go to the kitchen for a mid-afternoon coffee. When I opened the door, I was overwhelmed with this weird energy that seemed to suck the air from my lungs, and I saw 2 of my colleagues facing each other and chanting in low voices. "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I'll come back," I stammered and began to close the door, wishing I'd stayed in my seat. One of them called out to me, "No, we're done here anyway. You can make your coffee." What an awkward position to be in. No, that's okay. Please don't let me interrupt you." She just smiled. "That's okay. The moment is gone now. You could join us next time if you like." I laughed nervously. I didn't know what to say. "Well, aren't you going to come in?" she asked me. I realised I was still halfway out of the room, the door still half open. "Sure, coffee," I said. I kicked myself mentally. Why was I being so insensitive? This was probably a religious moment I'd barged into, and now I was making it weird. "You're not making it weird," the same colleague said, smiling. Natalie, I think her name was. "You're just not initiated yet. Would you like to be?" I laughed in relief. "Oh, no thank you," I said. "I had too many of those in university and I still don't think I've recovered." Natalie cocked her head, looking at me quizzically. She didn't say anything, just watched me making my coffee. "Sorry again for the interruption," I said when I was done. Heart stammering, I threw myself into my work and finished everything an hour early. The manager agreed I could leave early. "See you in the morning." I told my housemates about it. They didn't think it was freaky at all. They said it was probably a form of meditation or prayer and that I was making a really big deal out of it. They laughed at me, said I'd made it sound like a cult. Hearing them make fun of me, I felt foolish and laughed at myself for jumping to the wrong conclusion. How ignorant of me. But then the next morning, I arrived to find a leaflet on my desk. It was information on an organisation called the Children of the Moon. I skim-read it before placing it in the recycling. It must have been left on my desk after the post had been picked up. I was wrong. Natalie approached me with the leaflet a few hours later. She had watched me place it in the bin and told me to reconsider. She told me that the children had saved her life. They were a great organisation I should consider joining. I politely declined. But this didn't deter Natalie, or my other colleagues for that matter. It turns out that they were all children of the moon, and regularly held moon vigils in the staff kitchen. It was strange being the only one sitting in the office whilst everyone else was chanting in the kitchen. I could hear them, despite my headphones being on the loudest setting. It was as if the sound was penetrating my skin and trying to lure me in there. I'm an atheist. I don't follow any religion or spiritual practice, but this was tempting. I don't know why, but it was a powerful urge to chant along with them. After a few weeks of this, I decided I needed to take a break. It was overwhelming, but I didn't want to be disrespectful, so I took a sick day to reset. My housemates were both at work, so I had the house to myself. I had a day of face masks, foot masks, yoga and nail painting. I guess you could call that a ritual, as it made me feel fresh. Maybe I wasn't so different to my colleagues after all. Maybe the children could be good for me. Maybe It was 6 p.m. One of my housemates has probably left their keys at home. I opened the door. It was my entire workforce standing in my front garden. "You weren't at work today," Natalie said. "How are you feeling?" My heart was hammering. This was not right. "Can we come in?" Natalie asked. But she didn't wait for an answer. She simply waltzed past me and led the congregation of my work colleagues into my tiny living room. "What are you all doing here?" I asked weakly, staring at the 8 bodies that made the space look cramped. "We're here to make you better," Natalie said, smiling. Grimacing, sneering. I don't know. They began to chant, holding hands and making that noise, that dreadful, beautiful noise. My body began to shake, to convulse. I couldn't keep the weight in my legs any longer and I fell to my knees. They knelt down to my level. The noise was everywhere around me and inside me. Something was calling to me, telling me to release and give in. Give in and everything will be okay. Give in and everything will be perfect. The chanting was getting louder. I couldn't fight it anymore when... "What the fuck is going on in here?" The chanting had stopped. The spell was broken. My housemate was standing in the open door looking formidable and really, really pissed off. "Get the fuck out of my house," she whispered. My colleagues fled. My ex-colleagues, should I say. For I am never, ever going back there.